Hello everyone and welcome to LB Otaku, and today we're reviewing a KO figure of RAM. The older sister of RAM. Beautiful RAM. Best girl RAM. By a long margin. Best girl RAM. They're basically the same, but nobody cares about RAM. Speaking of not caring about shit, one of my lamps actually decided to broke down. So my lighting is a little bit shit on this video. Now that I acknowledge that fact, let's start with the review. So, it's been a while since I reviewed the original figure of RAM, the figure that is on top of my Figma favorite figures. When I saw that they made two bootlegs, one from RAM and one from RAM, I was thinking about getting RAM so that she would be next to RAM. But I was a bit afraid since my latest review of a Figma bootleg was horrible, complete haram. You do not do it. This figure is trash. Spit on it. But this figure is a bit special. Unlike that other abomination, could almost be confused with the original. Now let me start by saying that RAM and RAM share very similar modes, so I'm going to use RAM sometimes as a tool for comparing with the original, even though not everything is the same between these two figures. Let's do it. Now first let's start with the box. The box is very well done. It's basically the same box, but of course you don't have that symbol that says a property to sell outside Japan. So yeah. Now the stand, this stand is basically the same, but this one actually didn't come with the Figma logo, so yeah, it's kind of different. Most of the other bootlegs actually came with the same stand. Now we have this pointy finger hand for right hand. Yes, focus. The focus is harder now because one lamp only. Now that we have this grabby hand for the knife. The knife that is done very well. The hands are all done very well except one hand, but I'll get that in the moment. So yeah. Then we have two fist hands, two palm open hands. One of the other open hand is in the figure itself right now. We have this pose hand, and we have two other grabby hands. I don't know the difference between these two and the other one for the knife, but well, then we have this one. This one is the one that I criticized because the skin tone is a little different from the rest of the figure. And then we have this potato head. She's very light on accessories overall. We have also extra peg for the hands, and this will be very useful because the pegs are very weak. But then we have that tray and extra faces and hairpiece. Now this face, that is the smiley face, that mouth is not very well done. I actually had to repaint it a little bit to make it look a little better. And you're going to quickly understand that paint is the biggest problem with this figure. Because overall the rest is actually really well done. See, if we see the face, the smile should be opened. Now it just, the paint is not going deep enough into that smile, see? So yeah, that could have happened just to my figure, and other figures may be good because you know there's not a lot of control quality. Then we have that other hairpiece. We have this face that is much better done, perfectly done. And we have also this other face that is again perfectly done. Just the smiling face is the one that is not perfectly painted. Now the rest of the figure unfortunately has a lot of different smudges that unfortunately ruined a little bit of the paint job. Because overall in this angle you look at them and they look perfect together. You cannot tell that one is fake and the other is the original. But when we start looking in details, looking at, for example, that little part, the white is not as well painted as in the original. We start seeing the sleeves, the black, we see some smudges there. Let me just focus, goddammit. There we go. See, we can see there's some smudge paints there, and again there the white is not as white it should be, and yeah, again sleeve, and here we have also the same problem with that white not being as perfectly done as the original. So, but yeah, these are very small details that at a distance you will not notice. Some also blue parts in the hair, unless you're constantly in their face, you'll not notice these small details. So overall the paint job, and it's very good, it still passes. So we expect the same possibility at this figure, and actually they're both really solid. Now that doesn't mean these joints are not without flaws. So the mechanism of changing the hair is the same, and the articulation here on the head is exactly the same, but somehow I don't know why the head seems to be a little bit taller in the neck than the original RAM, but maybe just my impression. But the articulation is exactly the same, and it holds the pose exactly the same, so no problems here. So now we got that ball peg with the ball hinge for the shoulder, and it is right tight enough to control well the articulation, no problem there. And then we have this ball hinge system in the, it's not really a ball hinge, but it's the equivalent of Figma of a ball hinge. Then a ball hinge in the hand. Now this one is very fragile, it's always popping off, but it does the job. So, but be careful with it. I'm trying to focus again, god damn it. Oh, see, so the pegs are weaker, so especially the hands ones, but overall it does the same job, and it doesn't become a loose articulation like the ones from other Figmas. Now in this side again we have the same system. Then we have, I think that's a ball peg in that waist, and it gives you a very tight rotation. Now I don't see any articulation in the waist, but then we have this double ball peg system for each leg. So it indeed works very well. It has some of the best leg articulation of any Figma. It's basically the same, except for the panty colors. But it is exactly the same as the original. Good swivel on the thigh. You have the Figma hinge in the knees, so the leg can keep back really far thanks to the some malleability of the dress, and really forward. Then we have this. It's actually not a ball hinge like the hands. It's more. It's like a circular hinge, and it works fine. It gives you rotation. Doesn't give you a pivot. That's a bit strange, but overall the articulation is really good in this figure. It is exactly the same as the original, with almost the same solid feel. Some things do not feel as solid, like those ball hinges in the hands, but overall it is a good reproduction, unlike Saber. It makes me really happy to see they're fixing their issues. Finally, almost make me want to sing. Figma RAM, Figma Gilgamesh, Revoltech Deadpool, Variable Action Hero Gintoki, Playard Sky Tifa Lockhart. While not perfect, it is not a bad figure at all. It is a Figma that closely resembles the original and can be a nice alternative if you cannot get the original at a good price. And I can imagine that too Fakema of RAM should be very similar in terms of quality. Overall, it is a very nice Fakema, and I'll give her my low budget otaku seal of approval. Next week's review is still not certain. I'm not sure if I'm going to review the Kill la Kill Figmas that I owned, or maybe something different. Whatever it is, don't forget to subscribe to see more. Please. Hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you guys.
See you next time. Do it! Just do it!